Bill CK 203. And Chair Stevenson, please continue on. Mr. Lynch, we'll come back to you shortly.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. This bill relates to the wonderful city of Anoka in the Northwest Metro, the Halloween capital of the world. If you haven't had a chance to visit Anoka's historic downtown, I strongly encourage you to do so. Just a block off of Main Street is Jackson Street in historic downtown Anoka, which contains a number of restaurants, bars, and there's a brewery right around the corner, 10K on 2nd Avenue there. It's a wonderful place to visit. It's just off of the Rum River. In fact, you can travel by boat up the Mississippi River and up the Rum and park at the municipal docks and walk, as I have done, to one of the great establishments there on Jackson Street and have a pleasant summer evening. It's a great place to spend an evening year round, but particularly in our nice summer months. The city of Anoka approached me a while back to talk about an idea of further enhancing Jackson Street with making it what they are calling a social district. And a social district is an idea that is common in other states, but we don't have them in Minnesota. But essentially the idea would be that you would be able to purchase a refreshing beverage from one of the fine establishments in Anoka and walk outside with it, consume it outside, enjoy the atmosphere there on Jackson Street and the surrounding area of the social district, and have a pleasant evening. And I thought it was a great idea. It would be a wonderful addition to Anoka. I've been to similar social districts in other states and thought it would be a nice feature for our state. So we worked to draft up some language, and we have it here before the committee today. And Madam Chair, I know there is someone from the city of Anoka here to offer some further comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have Doug Borgland with the city of Anoka. Please introduce yourself and proceed with your testimony.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Doug Borgland. I'm the city's Community Development Director. As mentioned, we have a beautiful downtown, historic downtown. And what we're working on is creating a downtown entertainment district. This is an area of the city right in the heart of our downtown where majority of our bar and restaurant businesses are located. And what we're trying to do is create much more social, pedestrian oriented, kind of a shoppertainment type of district where folks can enjoy themselves, embrace in our historical infrastructure, and enjoy our downtown. We've been seeing a growing trend across the country introducing these social type of districts where businesses are able to, bar and restaurant businesses can sell alcohol to their patrons, and they can leave the building or leave the patio area within a boundary set by the city that would allow them to interact and enjoy the area. A good example maybe is like a Fremont Street or a that type of thing in Las Vegas, or there's Nashville. So there are bigger cities doing this, but there are also smaller communities such as North Carolina who recently adopted language in state statute. And we're just hoping to be able to create something like this. We are planning on 2025 rebuilding Jackson Street to create the infrastructure that would support this type of social activity, meaning being able to close off streets, things like that, to contain the area. And we're going through a master planning process this summer and working with our public and our businesses to develop a vision for 2025. And we hope that social districts can be a part of our master plan. So we do appreciate the opportunity and your consideration of the draft language this afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Borgland. Members, any discussion? Representative Lucero.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And my question is, I've never been accused of being the life of the party. So this is not an area that I have a great deal of experience in. So I'm just curious then, in the upper Midwest, is there any states maybe surrounding us that do have social, what's it called, social districts?
Thank you, Representative Lucero. And sometimes with your choice of attire, I find that hard to believe, your sparkly suits. Chair Stevenson.
Madam Chair, Representative O'Driscoll, you know, I am not aware of any states that allow this.
Representative Listegard, you are, thank you
There you
for
go.
muting.
I can't think of any. I don't know if other members of the committee have experience, but I can't think of any that border us, that do that.
Representative Lucero.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And again, it was not, I'm intrigued by the idea, just trying to get a baseline if there's, where the nearest to Minnesota, where this might actually be something in existence. But if we don't know answers offhand, or it looks like the chair has a comment.
Thank you. Chair Stevenson.
Yeah, Mr. Borglund mentioned Nashville. There's also, I know Kansas City does this. It's worth noting, I think, that there, of course, are temporary things that are like this that occur in Minnesota. When we have street festivals. The other place that is kind of analogous is the State Fair, where you obviously can do this. So it's not totally without precedent, but this obviously would be a much more constant presence. I don't know if it'll be constant, but continual presence than what has happened in Minnesota previously.
Representative Lucero.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Representative O'Driscoll.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This question is for Mr. Borglund. I'm curious about this. It's an interesting idea. And I'm pretty sure that if Anoka gets this, we're going to have a litany of other cities that come in. I just want to have some discussions, since I do think we have some time today. Would this permit you to be able to offer this social district availability during regular service hours? In other words, when bars can be open, observing the 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock closing times and some of those kinds of things? Is the language allowing that kind of coverage in the social district, sir?
Mr. Borglund.
Yes, thank you. I can respond. At least from our perspective, obviously the enabling law that's proposed would allow cities to do something like this. But the specific policies set by ordinance, once an enabling law is adopted at the local level, would include how we would operate, the boundary that's of the district, those types of things. I mean, our plan is, our downtown is very family orientated, and so we would be looking, probably, trying to maintain hours of 5 to 10 o'clock at night, because we do have downtown residents in our downtown, so we would need to be courteous of those who live in our downtown, and also just from control standpoint, and just maintaining a pleasant environment for all. 10 o'clock would probably be an appropriate time that we would end something like this, but it would be during business hours, but not going into the late hours of the evening or anything like that.
Madam Chair.
Chair Stevenson.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to note that the bill does require that in that enabling ordinance, the city not only establish the boundaries and other things that Mr. Borglund was talking about, but hours are one of the things that they would have to clearly delineate in the enabling ordinance. So they would have to describe when it would be open. That's a requirement of the bill.
Representative O'Driscoll.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just another follow-up on that. Does the ordinance require, or will there be any restrictions on the type of alcohol, the intoxicating level of the alcohol? I'm seeing 16-ounce fluid containers here, no glass. That kind of cues me in that it might be more of a beer orientated. And I know that some of the other, if you will, beverages come in glass containers and things. I understand the safety issues on those and why we would want to have that. But is there anything on limiting the intoxicating levels of the liquor, or do you anticipate that, or have you thought about or contemplated that? Again, I'm just trying to get my head around this, because I think this is a very interesting idea.
Chair Stevenson.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Representative O'Driscoll. There's nothing in the bill that restricts it to beer or wine. The term used in the bill is alcoholic beverages, so it could be broader than that. I don't know if Mr. Borglund can speak to what the city would contemplate in their ordinance, because of course they could further limit it in their ordinance.
Mr. Borglund, do you have any further comment?
I do not have any further comments at this time on that specific item.
Thank you. Representative O'Driscoll, any further follow-up?
Just the last question again, because we've seen these kinds of, in bars where they also have, for the lack of a better term, these Jello shots and some of these other kind of novelty items that they sell and things. Would this be allowed to be able to be used and purchased and moved from one location to another as well? I'm going to suspect that, for lack of a better term, I could get a 16 pack of those. I don't think they're much more than an ounce anyhow. So again, just some things to contemplate, because if you do it right, we're going to be more inclined to give other cities and communities the ability to be able to do this. If it blows up on all of us, which I hope it doesn't, because I do think this is a very interesting idea, you can be the role model for the rest of the state. And that's why I want to ask you these questions so you can contemplate those.
Yes, I am curious how the Jello shot amendment to the liquor bill would go with the different container sizes. Representative Stevenson.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair, Representative Driscoll. I think these are good questions to talk about. And, I think Mr. Borglund noted that the city of Anoka is planning on taking a very thoughtful process to developing this over the course of the summer and into the future. This is not something that we pass this year and it's going to be open on Memorial Day. It's something that they are going to be careful about and think about how it would fit in their city. So it's good to raise those issues, and I'm sure the city will take a very deliberative process in thinking about that. I did get a note here, Representative Driscoll, that you said the first mention of Jello shot in the House Commerce Committee. So congratulations.
I'll thank Representative Cagle as our historian for that. Yeah. Am I correct? I would bet that's another topic we've had in this committee. Gaming.
Actually, it was Mr. Brown. It was Mr. Brown.
Very well played by our CA. All right.
Representative Barr.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Borg, I had a couple of quick questions for Mr. Borglund. It might sound just a little odd, but as far as the Jello shots go, I can see where a 2-ounce margarita might not go very far, kind of thing. So, but it is a good point that does need to be raised. Also, you mentioned, Mr. Borglund mentioned Jackson Street. I'm assuming Jackson between 2nd and 3rd. And that might be something that we'd want to consider as this goes forward to say something that along the lines of whatever street is blocked off or the social district shouldn't be like a state highway or a main thoroughfare through the town. I know some of smaller towns, like I grew up in towns of 1,200, 1,500, and you did block off the main drag, sort of. It was parallel to the main drag, which Jackson Street is parallel to Main. So just something to consider as you're going forward, if that's what you're thinking about, is that one block there on Jackson that, this doesn't carry over into Main Street. So your social district doesn't go across and pick up like Nuckies and tie it in with the stuff over by the courthouse. That might be just a hair big, and we could have a little problem with people wandering across the street and tripping in Main Street, right? Just something to keep in mind. Thank you.
Mr. Borglund, any response?
Yes, certainly. No, the plan is not to cross any major thoroughfares. This is about a 1.5-block area that is basically local streets. It doesn't involve any county or state highways. And the way we would design this is that it would be, very, very contained to that area. And that's part of the infrastructure that we plan to build with this. So the city will be planning to spend a lot of money to create this environment to help support this type of activity.
Thank you, Mr. Borglund. Representative Barr, did you have any further comments or questions? Your hand is still up. All right, I'll go back to Representative Lucero and you can come back if necessary.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick question. Not knowing exactly, I drive through Anoka frequently, but I don't know exactly where this is. Does this area, does the famous Anoka parade go through this area, or will the parade be rerouted to go near this area?
Chair Stevenson or Mr. Borglund?
I think Mr. Borglund was ready to answer that question.
I apologize, but no, the parade will not go through this area. The parade is usually along Main Street. This is a block off of Main Street, where, like I said, a majority of our bar and restaurants are located. And I should mention, we do host annually something called the Food Truck Festival. We have 60 food trucks. We kind of contain it very similar to how this would operate. And the layout is very similar to what we already do with the food truck festival if we were looking at a district. And so we already kind of practice these type of events. And so we've gotten very good at managing larger crowds or activity like this. And we've kind of become known for our events. So it's something that we've become very good at.
Thank you, Mr. Borglund. Representative Lucero, any follow-up?
That's all I have. Thank you.
Very good. While we were chatting here, I did just try to do a little bit of verification on my memory that State Street in Wisconsin is not an open container social district. That was the only adjoining state that I thought might have something similar, but it's not looking like that, Mr. Chair, online. So just wanted to chip in with that. So do you have any final comments, Chair Stevenson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And it's always good to know that Minnesota will be once again ahead of Wisconsin in doing something good and novel. Members, thank you for the good discussion. I think you've given us a lot to think about with this proposal, which I do intend to add to the omnibus liquor bill in Ways and Means. I'm excited to see what Anoka is able to do with this. I think they're the ideal location to check this out. And if you haven't ever had the chance to make your way to Jackson Street, I would encourage you to do so. Get some of the great wings that they have at Serum's. After we pass our omnibus liquor bill, you'll be able to go over to 10K Brewery and get a 6-pack of their great beer and really have a pleasant time even before we get the social district up and running. So thanks for the good discussion, members.